civil hearing for Dylan Adams. What do you think, ladies? We were just talking a little bit about a little bit of pressure from the judge to take that plea deal, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think that sometimes that happens. I've seen that happen frequently as a prosecutor and on the criminal defense side. But you know, sometimes a judge may go too far with it. You don't want a judge to go too far with having to convince a defendant to take a plea deal, because that's not right. There are a lot of ramifications that can come with that. But I think it's the fact that it will help later on in the judicial process, having another trial taken off of his docket. And I don't know. What do you think, Jonna?
The judge would definitely benefit from a plea deal here.
Yeah, right. Well, and so we'll talk about why.
Well,
I agree with you, but
main reason. He gets
docket.
a trial
Get it off his docket.
And that's something we don't often talk about here at Law&Crime, but when people talk about why no trials, judges want clear dockets.
Yes,
you know,
they
they have them, whether it's civil or criminal, it's sort of like their job to keep the docket clear. That's the main thing that they focus on.
Well, people don't realize, if you're not in the biz, that there are other things that judges need to do on a day-to-day basis, not just try cases.
Yep.
There are conferences, pretrial conferences, things that motion hearings, things that have to happen all the time. And when you're in trial, either you got to squeeze those in and start a little later, or leave a little earlier, and it can be hectic. The wheels of justice become very slow when there's a trial going on.
All right, guys, we're going to need to take a break because someone's mic isn't working, but we're going to throw you to a clip in the Dobson case. Before we went to Adams, we were talking about this YouTube video and the use of it, and we are going to finish that conversation. So we're going to throw you to Dobson for a bit. When we come back, you'll be able to hear all three of us.
Once they came back, whoever came back, do you recall what happened after whoever came back? Did anyone leave then?
They came back, they wasn't there. Once that was the first time. Like I said, it happened a lot because I was there. And
just whatever you recall.
No, they came back just for a little second and they left back out.
Who left back out?
Tom was back in the field.
And when Bassett and Kip left, what vehicle were they in?
I guess Bassett's car. I wasn't looking at him out the window and then.
Where was Mr. Perry?
I don't know.
You don't recall? Do you recall telling the police who left back out?
No.
You're not. Now, do you recall seeing Mr. Bassett's car again? I'm sorry?
Yeah.
What type of car did Mr. Bassett have?
BMW.
A what?
BMW.
And when was it that you saw Mr. Bassett's car again?
When I seen my cousin dead.
Okay, and tell us about that.
Heard gunshots, I went outside the car with him there.
And who was in the vehicle?
Big thing.
And what part of the car was he in?
Drove.
What happened while you were outside?
What do you mean what happened?
You see your cousin dead. What do you do and what do you see?
I'm sitting there yelling for him to wake his ass up.
And what is other people doing?
They trying to get him.
Who would the other people be?
I ran to the car, Richard was there.
Richard Williams?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
Trying to wake my cousin up.
All right, what happens next?
Police come to the thing.
And do you recall when the police got there, what did you then do?
Nobody took me.
I'm sorry?
I just remember they took me down at the station.
Do you recall talking to the police there at the scene?
Yeah.
Do you recall talking to the police about what had just happened?
Yeah.
Do you recall telling the police what it was concerning?
I don't know, but the sign. I told them that I was in the next building across from him. I heard gunshots, looked out the window.
You went down to the, you recall telling the police that you were going to be the one to tell them what happened?
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
Because I wanted them to find out what happened with him.
With who?
On Big B.
You recall telling the police that this was 400? You recall telling the police that this was gang?
No.
You go down to the police department and you talk to Investigator Lefton.
If that's his name.
You talk to this guy here?
Oh, yeah.
And of course that interview is recorded.
Yeah.
Now, after that night, did you have a Snapchat account?
Yeah.
And what do you recall what your Snapchat name is?
I was in the north on the bay, north on the east.
And Mr. Colbert, did he have a Snapchat account?
Yeah.
You recall what his name was?
I don't.
You recall having a Snapchat conversation with him?
Yeah, probably. Cool.
Tell us about, do you recall a Snapchat conversation with him about you trying to talk to him?
Is everything in your hand?
Well, first I got to ask you if you recall it.
I gotta see it.
Looking at it, would it help to refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
If I can approach and show you what's been marked as 556 for ID only. And as you recognize, look at this line right here. North from the east. You call that being your Snapchat name? And are you Gunsley? Who would that be? And if you can just look over, don't say it out loud, but just looking at that, you recall, it might be easy to read. Recall that conversation? Tell the jury about that conversation you had with Mr. Cole.
Everybody was saying this and that.
I apologize, Mr. Norman. I know it's different, but you got to speak to the microphone so they can hear you.
So I was just trying to get him to talk to me real quick.
Why is that?
Hey, it was a whole bunch of miscommunication going on my behalf.
About what?
Saying that I said this and that.
Said this and that.
About whatever case scenario is.
About Lonsdale?
Yeah.
What? I know it's different.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, if we could, I want to go back to see if I can refresh your recollection with your prior reported statement to the police.
Your Honor, respectfully, I think the question first has to be asked before we put a recorded statement up is, do you think it can be? You don't get the opportunity to do it. I get it's, perfunctory, but he has to at least have the opportunity to answer the question.
You asked that earlier about the text messages, and so since we got the jury out hearing, I'm not going to make him do that in front of the jury. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Well, my thing is once you play it, you've already suggested it. I mean,
but
I think
the
at least
jury's
that's...
not seeing it. He would get to read it anyway. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to let him refresh his memory if it does. If it doesn't, then it doesn't refresh his memory. I'm going to let him at least show it to him, which is, that's the way the rule works.
Sorry, I had asked you the question about the names of the people who left out of the apartment or who arrived at the apartment, and you did not recall. I would like to play a portion to see if it helps you refresh your recollection.
I seen 3 people come in the house. They didn't want to, came over there to my sister's house in Green Hills or whatever. Next thing I know, they stayed for like... And who were they? Well, the one, Brandon, the one got shot. His cousin, Chris Bassett. What's his name? I think Kim was with him. Who's Kim? Carter. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Heather Hansen here with Stephanie Willis and Jonna Spilbor. And we were talking about what we're watching, which is this clip of the Dobson case and the YouTube video that was able to be used. Now, you had put on your prosecutor's hat, I mean, your defense hat for a bit, but what do you think about the various arguments on this, Stephanie?
Well, as a prosecutor, I'm thinking that I want this, I guess, this video to come in because it may show a different side that the defense is not showing. A lot of the times in rap music, a lot of their life experiences is brought into the particular lyrics. So I would use that to say that it's not really prejudicial. However, thinking about as a defense attorney, it is prejudicial. I don't want this evidence being brought in because it's making the jury look at my client in an unfavorable light. Also, the fact that I've heard previously before, a colleague of mine was actually the lead attorney in the, what's his name? It was a famous rapper in Louisiana. And they did the same thing. The prosecution brought in his music and his lyrics, and the defense attorney was very smart in saying that it's all a show.
Yes.
This is not something that, like these hip hop artists, they wear makeup. This is not something that's real. So it's not something that the jury should take into consideration.
Jonna, it reminds me so much of the Aaron Hernandez case, because two things in the Aaron Hernandez case. One was the photos of the defendants, or not the defendants, some of the other people doing signs, hand signs, and various apparently gang signs with their hands.
Right.
And the judge wouldn't let that come in. And then also the tattoos, which are also, because all of this is creative expression in one form or another. Right. And at what point is it creative expression that has no meaning? And at what point are we allowing jurors to read meaning into the creative expression? Yeah. Do you think that this is a slippery slope?
Oh, very much so. I mean, at what point does somebody's creative expression
outside the courtroom violate
their right against self-incrimination?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that's a huge one. And you know what I keep thinking of, though it probably has zero relevance, but it keeps running through my head? Colin Kaepernick wears socks that depict police officers as actual pigs. If he were to be charged with shoplifting, do the socks come in? I mean, how does that, where do we, like you said, how slippery is this slope?
Well, and that's the interesting thing. I mean, I think that in all of our cases, we see that it's a balance. And so a shoplifting case, it probably wouldn't come in. More likely to come in the murder of a police officer.
Well, wait a minute. What if it's a shoplifting case and you struggle with the loss prevention officer? Does that show a hatred for authority? Does that show you think all authority are, quote, pigs? I mean, again, where does this end?
Yeah, it definitely makes the argument stronger, as you know, and a good prosecutor is going to take advantage of that to try to create that connection that may be tenuous. And in this case, I mean, the defense fought this hard for this YouTube video not to come in. Ultimately, it did come in. You know, this case, I was on trial for this entire trial. So I read a lot about it last night and over the weekend. This poor Xavier Dobson, I mean, he was really quite a young man who really saved the lives of the girls. He really was a hero and a great football player, a member of this 100 Black Men Club, which is, you know, something that is, we need more clubs like that because the three defendants certainly didn't have that kind of support in their life. But it's a terribly sad case, and we're going to continue to play parts of that case here today. We're going to go to that clip, continue the clip that we were just watching, and then when we come back, Jonna, Stephanie, and I are going to be talking about the recent case that was filed, not criminal, but civil case filed against Gene Simmons for sexual harassment. And where do these cases end? We're going to talk about Matt Damon's recent comments. I know some of you in the chat room have been talking about different people in Hollywood and how these things just keep coming. We're going to talk about the impact on cases, on confidentiality clauses, all of these legal aspects of these interesting cases, and the Me Too movement altogether. So bring on your thoughts, tweet them to us, put them up in the chat rooms, and we'll include you in the conversation. That's always an important and fun part of these conversations. So back to that Dobson clip for just